Hey YouTube, it's me. It's nice to see you figuratively in my YouTube world. I want to share something that I don't think many people are willing to share online, and that is life is tough for me right now. There are so many things going on that requires a bit of juggling, and what I have found is that I'm slipping backwards in some ways, and that when I talk about the fact that we get to decide, we get to choose, we can create the outcomes we want, provided we take control. And when I say take control, I usually refer to somebody I call Larry. And Larry is how I refer to my primitive brain, and that's my unconscious mind. Lots of people talk about this all of the time, but what I found worked for me, and actually it seems to work for my clients as well, is that because my childhood was my childhood, and through that childhood experience, I have a thought pattern that errs towards negativity. And I also have some not very constructive or helpful thoughts about myself. Um, I actually did not like myself for many, many, many years. And it is still something I must work on every single day because my natural thought thinking, and Larry, because that is my well-worn pathways, as I like to refer to them, is to feel like I'm not good enough. Nobody wants what I've got. Nobody's going to listen to me. Um, don't do that. People will judge you. So all of these things are natural in my body and natural in my thinking. And that's what prevents me. That's what stops me from acting in a more positive way or climbing out of the little hole that I might put myself in. Because if I'm not fully consciously aware of what is happening and I go on to remote control, i.e., I just do, I like to call that the difference between surviving and thriving. I'm just surviving the day. Then it's going to feel heavy and hard. But here's the interesting thing, it also feels familiar and it also feels safe because it's what I've practiced for so many years. And this is the interesting thing about life, right? Because we do get to decide, but I have found that the older we get and the more practiced our routines, habits, behaviors, thoughts get, the harder that change is. The harder it is to say, okay, I'm done with this version. I now need an upgrade. I want to get to version 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and maybe 3.3, right? Because sometimes we have to go little teeny growth steps as opposed to big giant leaps. And that's where I'm at because I don't know what happened, but about 4 or 5 months ago, I realized that I'd been playing it safe again, and that although I had transformed and grown, and I would say I was at this point Liz 3.0 from where I was, I really was comfortable again and not doing the things that I said I was going to do. So I was living outside of integrity, or I was simply, I knew what I should do that day, but I just wasn't getting it done. And when I stopped and fully dialed back into it, it's because Larry, again, had gotten into the driver's seat of my figurative bus, my figurative life, and he was the one that was driving me instead of me taking control. And so sometimes I'm like a passenger and he's off going veering to the right. And I'm like, no, I wanted to go over there. I want to do left. And that sets up that little strange argument in your brain. And it's that that has you tired. And if you're like me and you're trying to achieve a new goal and it's a big new goal, then what then happens is you get quite exhausted because you're constantly thinking about the achievement of the goal and you think you're working on it productively every single day because you're thinking about it all of the time. But in reality, you're not making decisions to support the action that needs to be taken to create that new version. You following me? I hope so. So, what do we do when we finally get that awareness? Because I think it always has to start with, oh, and you have to get dial in and become aware. And remember, I talk about Larry as Larry simply because I cannot talk about him as being me. Because if I talk about him being me and my propensity for negative spiraling and negative thinking and sometimes catastrophizing, then I'm not going to get out of bed, am I? Because I see all of Larry's little tricks. And if Larry is me, then basically I'm going to have to buy into the you're not good enough. Nobody's ever going to want to work with you. Um, what will people think? Because that's still one that keeps me trapped, right? What will people say? What will people think? And I now I'm able to sit back and go, what people, Larry? Who are we talking about? Who are those people? Because we don't know who those people are. Or sometimes it's just your mum and your sister who are going to judge you. Who cares? Those people aren't going to be the ones on your deathbed looking back over your life and going, shit, I should have. If only I did. And that's what the pause button always has to be for me these days is okay, let's say I am at the end. Am I going to be happy thinking back or am I going to have a bit of regret? And I worked really hard to lose that feeling of regret. I wanted to show up and be who I wanted to be every single day, but I now see that no, I'm still letting Larry take over. I'm still letting fear drive my bus every now and again, and that's okay. But I don't want him to take control for long periods of time, just for short. And so that's where I think that this whole um, understanding of how we can become much more aware and much more triggered into understanding when we have taken control away and when Larry is the one driving, that we go, okay, Larry, you can drive for a bit because I'm tired or I'm sick or this and this and this have happened and it's just too much for me to deal with right now. So I am just going to, figuratively wrap myself up and just I'm in a corner for however long I need to process the feeling. And I think we have to process it because we can't be in such a rush to go from a negative to a positive because then we're not dealing with it. We're not actually working through it. And that's, that for me, life is 50-50. In order for me to feel proud, have to feel shame. In order for me to be happy, I have to be sad. In order for me to be delighted, I probably have to be a little bit, what's that word? Defeated, when we have an expectation and it's not met. So balance in everything. And that's why, if you're doing it tough right now, and a couple of my clients are doing it tough right now, I give you permission to just sit there and deal with the feeling. Embrace the feeling. Know that feelings cannot kill you. They can make you feel inadequate because a feeling is going to turn up and get us into execution, implementation, or into scrolling and doing mindless, trivial stuff to take our minds away. But the reality is you have to process that feeling first in order to go, okay, I'm ready now. And we literally take the cloak off and we say to Larry, backseat dude, and we take control back and we start to make decisions based on that next version that we're striving to be. And when life has been a bit tough, don't make that next version a bigger step. So don't say, if for example, you're going to get fit, don't go, I'm going to go from 0 to 5K runs overnight or 5 miles if you're in the other part of the world, right? Just go, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk to the letterbox and back because that's what the new version would start with. And always check in. I always like to say, well, what would she do really? And if I find myself confused about something, sometimes just asking that question, well, what would my future self actually do right now? Because she already did it. And that's the interesting thing, because you wouldn't desire that next version of yourself or that goal that you keep thinking about if you weren't capable of achieving it. I, I honestly believe that. And the trick of life is to see if you can overcome Larry so you can achieve it. If you can let go of all of the fear that keeps you small and trapped so that you can achieve it. And part of that is to understand it's not you. It's not your fault that you are doing what you do and that you haven't succeeded yet because we are wired. And Larry is wired, your unconscious mind is wired to keep you safe, to conserve energy, to look for pleasure, and to do these things immediately because he has no sense of past, future, or present, right? It's all just now. Well, he has a sense of presence, obviously. So he doesn't understand that your prefrontal cortex is planning for this new version of you. Doesn't get that. He just experiences the now. And when we understand that and we can actually go, oh, it's not me. I'm just doing what I'm programmed to do, but I'm going to upgrade my programming, upgrade my operating system because I want to achieve this new thing. then it feels lighter. You're more inspired. And that's really where I'm at right now, right? I'm in this, I've still got my cloak on and I'm still just feeling the feelings, but I'm getting ready to shed it and to take back control from Larry and to start making tangible progress forward. So if you're a little bit where I'm at, just take a breath and know this too will pass. Get very clear on where you want to go, who you want to be, and start to daydream a little bit about that. And you'll find in that daydream, you will start to get inspired again. And in that inspiration, you'll be ready to take control back from little old Larry. So, yeah, give me a thumbs up if you lasted to the end. Feel free to subscribe. I do these things pretty much every week now, if not more frequently, depending on where I'm at and what mood I'm in. And it's just all of my thoughts, all of my messy middle about my journey to become my next version. So take care, everybody, and I hope to see you in the next one.